And now we're gonna load up an Ultra and see how well this does. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So we'll have to walk it out there, but that is why I'm actually kind of excited to see what Ultra does. So, the Ultra Dart. A lot of people hate you, a lot of people want nothing to do with you, a lot of people don't even know what you're capable of and have already made assumptions about you. I haven't given up, because I saw something that few people have. I've seen an Ultra Dart fly really far and go rather straight. My friend Jaxmay found a barrel material for himself that works perfectly fine for Ultra, a very tight fit I might add, and when firing that out of a long shot, a 220 FPS long shot with normal half-length short darts, well, 130 FPS out of that, but it cleared my entire yard and also traveled extremely straight. So, even with all that dead space, we got really good performance out of the Ultra Dart, which makes me curious exactly how the Ultra Dart can perform out of a Springer. And maybe the entire problem with the Ultra Dart is the fact that we've been using them out of Flywheelers. Unfortunately, I don't have footage of that because, well, it was quite rainy and we had to gather 2 up of every single Nerf blaster and put them on the Ark before the end of the world, but hey, at least we have some time now. And what I want to do here is I wanted to jump the gun a little bit and build a blaster that is probably coming at some point, but we might as well do it with the tools and materials we have today, and build the Ultra Zero, which is going to be a Talon here, set up exactly to shoot Ultra Darts specifically, although this mod guide will apply to any Talon whatsoever, so if you want to make them shoot half darts and actually get really good performance, yeah, that's a possibility too. And there's some interesting things to say about the Talon, but first, we have to take this thing apart. There's one thing I want to test, and that's if this one will also vacuum load. Which it will. Awesome. Good to know. So all Talons are probably the same. Now, the rest of this is obviously just a shell, but the Talon itself is this, well, Liberator-looking pistol. And that's something I've always kind of wanted out of Nerf. I've wanted a rear-loading, breech-loading blaster. And you can see a theme. I really like breech loaders. The normal Big Shock has got a solvent welded plate right here, so it's really hard to modify. This one, it's just got a clip right here. This is kind of awesome for one reason, and then kind of bad for another. The one reason is I can literally just undo this clip right here, pull out this, and dump out the air restrictor. And I have a straight shot in there for just removing that with a knife, so really easy to do. The downside is, what winds up happening every single time you fire this thing and there's too much mass in the front of it and it can't build up enough air pressure, it releases air out of the back of this. So it's a double-edged sword. Now, I don't really mind that because it's a Big Shock. If I wanted a hard-hitting one, there's other things I can do. People did complain about the fact that it was clipped together, and yes, it's clipped down here as well, where the spring rest is, and the plunger head is also clipped on, so it's not nearly as moddable as a Big Shock, in my opinion. But this spring rest down here isn't really a problem because that's going to be inside of a shell that's screwed together. So I'm not worried about this popping off, but I am worried about the plunger head popping off. So this is going to be basically completely stock internals for this blaster. So we're just going to remove the dart post out of this thing, which we're just going to take a hobby knife here and just kind of push it in there in between the prongs of where the dart post is held, and we'll get rid of that so we have a straight shot into the plunger tube. And there we go. There is no more dart post in this blaster. So, we can take some barrel material, and this is going to be the important part. This is the hopper off of a marshmallow blaster. One of the mini marshmallow blasters, and it has, this is not the same material that Jaxmay used, this is actually what Luchathor 13 found, but it will fit basically perfectly around an Ultra Dart. And that is exactly what we need. It's got a loose enough fit that it will build up some air pressure, but it's not tight enough that we need a massive amount of pressure to launch this, and that will be our barrel material for this entire process here. So really, we again could, if you wanted to forego using the entire shell, what I tried to do on live stream was I sanded out the little inner ring and I shoved the barrel all the way down in here so I could pull off this cap and push a dart in. And doing that with this blaster with the shell to make it look kind of cool, I mean, I still want to do it. It's not that I don't want to do it. We'll put that down in there. We can push this in here and screw that into place so it's being held in by the little plastic that usually cradles around the Mega Dart. You can see our dart and everything is loaded up in there. We can prime it. We can replace our cap. I'm going to hold the back of this so it seals actually, no, we'll just do a normal shot, but it fires an Ultra Dart. So, if we grab the chronograph, this is somewhat interesting. Fire a Mega Dart out of here. 55, 56 FPS out of that, with an Ultra Dart. 64, so it's about a 10 FPS increase on the entire blaster there using the Ultra Ammunition. That doesn't mean anything unless the Ultra Ammunition does well at range, and that may be the problem, but we can go ahead and just basically use this as is. I think there might be a little bit too much barrel on there, but we'll just leave that as is for right now, so it's somewhat of a reversible mod. And this actually should kind of clamp down against that, so hopefully it doesn't lose too much air pressure if the dart is a little more forceful. And basically, that's all we have to do. So let's actually clean out the back of this a little bit so we can make sure that we don't have any issues with that catching on the dart. And now, we just load a dart in there, load the barrel in, give it a twist, prime it, and it fires an Ultra Dart, and of course it will fire Mega still if I remove the barrel, and it will fire Rival, and you could make barrels that will fire normal Elite Darts. But now I'm kind of curious how this will work at range. That's the most important thing, because if this can fly decently far for a 60 FPS blaster, or at least overtake the Mega Darts, and it's reasonably accurate, there could be a reason to use Ultra in the future. So let's take this thing outside before the snowstorm hits and see exactly what we've got going on, and hopefully it's not so cold that I can't paint it, because that was another thing I really wanted to get done. Alright, so a couple of baseline shots with Mega, so we can see that they fly through the air perfectly straight. This is a really good little blaster with these Mega Accu Strikes. Alright, and now we're gonna load up an Ultra and see how well this does. Yeah, wow, okay. So, we'll have to walk it out there, but that is why I'm actually kind of excited to see what Ultra does, because that was insane. Now, they aren't that stable in flight, and I'm not sure why that is. Maybe there's not enough barrel material for them, I'm not quite sure. But with just 64 FPS out of one of these things, they fly a lot farther than the Mega Darts. That first shot went the farthest so far. Oh. Well, that one didn't go anywhere. Not quite sure why. There we go. They are going rather straight. Seems like it's getting weaker. I'm not sure why. So there's the first one that just kind of didn't go anywhere. Here is the second one that just kind of did its own thing. There's another one, that other shot that kind of just didn't go anywhere. Here's where our Mega actually landed. here is a cluster of Ultra darts, but here's one that went rather extremely farther than that. I can't even get the Mega in frame, so quite a bit farther. And you can see here's another cluster of Ultra right there. The one I'm really interested in is, where did the dart that just kind of sailed off into... I mean, that one went the farthest, but I can't even tell where it went. And to be perfectly honest, this is why I kind of wanted to wait until I completely trashed this dart, because I'm rather impressed with what I'm finding out. So the first thing is, these darts don't hit very hard. And when I say that, I don't mean like they don't go very far. I mean, they physically do not hit very hard at all. Let's put on that, and it did move that, but if I were to compare that to the absolute sheer monstrosity that is a Mega Dart, yeah, that thing literally jumped back. And yet, these, not all of them, but most of them traveled way farther. Were they more accurate? Yeah, but it's kind of hard to talk about the accuracy when I'm shooting them out of a barrel they were never meant to be shot out of a blaster they were never meant to be shot out of. So I'm not exactly going to hate them for that. The accuracy was doable. It was, I could hit somebody at range with them. It just, sometimes some darts curled off, but that's kind of what happens with your basic old, you know, foam darts. I mean, that might change in the future. I'm not too worried about that. From what I remember shooting out of the long shot, it was a much tighter fit, and that had a much better impact to the performance of these. This is a rather loose fit, but this is what I have, and it still worked rather well. But the fact that 64 FPS made it shoot so much farther, again, a lot of these darts went a lot farther, that kind of makes me excited to see what Ultra darts can do in the future and where they could fit within this hobby. Because if we can hit those extreme ranges with something that physically does not hurt, that's a toy law right there, first of all, because they don't impart that much, you know, pain to a child, so we can get farther, harder hitting blasters. That's so awesome. I love that. And the darts are reasonably durable. I mean, you can step on these and whatnot, and they just don't care. And this is what this entire saga of me talking about Ultra has built up to, and I'm glad that Jax May decided to show me this, because Luchathor was firing them out of his flippin' hand cannon, and they basically did nothing, but out of a more controlled environment, they're rather impressive. And again, there was no internal modifications to this thing. Now, I could have just used a knockout, which I'm still planning on doing, and I could probably get even better performance out of them. But I think we're just going to kind of leave it here, except for I do want to paint this thing up to have kind of a clickbaity thumbnail. So I'm going to spend a moment taking this back apart. I'm going to paint this up and sand off some of the Mega logo, and we're going to make it look like an Ultra Blaster, because that's what we do. Alright, so we got the bodies painted white, and now we get to do the fun thing, which is all of the decal work. So, I went on the computer and I took the official NERF Ultra logo and then traced it and modified it into the logo that you generally see on the blasters. And I've got some black boxes here. I've got the Ultra logo, not that you can see it right now, cut out in white. I've got a Zero logo that I made, put out on that orange, and then a gold Ultra so we can match how Ultra actually looks on blasters. So for some of this, it's going to be really easy. We're just going to peel it off and put it on here. For the rest of it, we've got some transfer paper, which is like a tape that we can use to kind of stick it on there, pull it off, and place it where we need to. And that should hopefully give us a pretty decent looking official thing, and then we'll just go over it with a clear coat, and that should be that. Like magic! No, I got one little spot there. Oh no, the frickin' ink was not dry. Yeah, it comes off with alcohol. Oh, thank God. And it's taken off the paint with it. I don't know what to do. It's taken the paint right off. So close. So frickin' close to being done with this. I'm still trying to figure out why I even did this. I honestly couldn't tell you. It was just a funny idea. Let's make the Ultra Zero. And here's the thing that I call the Ultra Zero, and tried to make it look as authentic as possible. And my God, was this hard, because I had to restart twice, not only because I broke the first Talon, but then I also had to completely redo the paint job again. As you can see, it's gold on one side, white on the other, kind of like how the actual Ultra Blasters work. And I've got only the Zero on one side as well. This is, why do you exist? It actually does work pretty okay, though, all things considered. You put a dart in there, and, well, that one is a little too, let's see, this one should work. It's weird how, yeah, they're not even, now you're just making me look like a liar. Let's grab one of you, and let's fire you out, and then grab you. Maybe this time it will actually work. There we go. That was the entire point. It's supposed to suction load the darts. I couldn't possibly get that barrel out unless I really tried now, but I think it worked out pretty good for what it is. I'm kind of happy about this. It's an Ultra Blaster. It's the Ultra Zero before the Ultra Zero actually exists. Unless it does actually exist, we just don't know about it yet, but it'll be funny because then people will search it up and find this piece of crap. But I think the fact how these darts are flying farther than the Mega darts that the Talon usually came with, I think that kind of gives an idea to what Hasbro was thinking with the Ultra Darts and how going forward things will work for the Ultra Darts. I'm kind of excited to see what happens. Now, if I were to shove a piece of brass in here and shoot a single, a normal Elite Dart out of it, would it shoot farther than the Ultra? Probably. I mean, comparing these two, that this is probably actually more accurate because the Elite Darts are flippin' terrible. But it's still not a bad little idea to have these kinds of darts, and I'm excited to see what they do with them in the future. I really am. I'm kind of digging the idea of everything that's not the Ultra One, because the Ultra One, as much as I want to like that blaster, is absolutely awful. And hopefully things... I mean, this fires farther than an Ultra One, so I'm kind of excited to see what happens in the future. But that's enough rambling from me. If you saw this video all the way through and saw the struggles and still got to this point, I thank you profusely, because this has been an ordeal. This has been a blaster from hell, and it honestly wasn't even... There's no excuse for that. I had to completely restart twice, though, on it, and I really like how it turned out. And I like the Talon, and now I like it even more, so we'll have to see what happens with the Ultra line going forward and see what the actual Ultra Zero turns out to be. But regardless, I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to keep up to date with videos and stuff in the future, like things behind the scenes, you can always check out my Instagram or Facebook pages, or join the Discord at discord.gg/nerf. But regardless, I hope to see you in an entirely different video. The Ultra Zero.